everyone, and welcome back to Park of Forgotten Disney. Recently, I went to Disney World. And I got footage and videos and photos and stuff of forgotten stuff. And I contacted Disney. And they wouldn't let me in the cool stuff. But, I mean, I have footage and photos and videos of forgotten stuff at least. So that's a plus. One of the things I was really hoping to get a picture of was the focus of today's episode, the Skyway. The Skyways was demolished before I got there. A long time before I got there. A long time. In fact, I confused it with the Disneyland one, which has its Fantasyland thing open. I need to go to Disneyland someday. So, for today's episode, I literally have basically nothing. So, anyway, let's take a worldwide trip with 3 different versions of the Skyway. Let's first start with the longest running Skyway at Disneyland in California, but it wasn't originally made by Disney for California. In fact, the Skyway was made by the Swiss industrial company Bongrol Holding, now known for But they were known for making the now closed Space Spiral in Sandusky, Ohio, making specific types of monorails for various theme parks, such as SeaWorld and Alton Towers, and creating the same kinds for various World Expos. But they were most famous, though, for creating the Type 101 Skyride. More than 100 of these were built, though about a tenth of the ones built still are operational. While these were used just as a way to get to places quicker, such as the Velsen-Nagaban, which was built by Von Roll, incidentally, they were also used as attractions for many theme parks, with titles such as the Aeronaut Skyride, Bayside Skyride, Delta Flyer / Eagles Flight, Generabon, New England Skyway, Sky Buckets, Sky Safari, Skyride, 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 Skyway, not Disney, Telefrikio, Unknown, those are probably not the names, but I don't care, Krupka Komado Hukla, Alpine Swiss Skyride, Astrolift again, Astroway, Brussels World Fair Skyride, Delta Flyer and Eagles Flight again for some reason, the Frontier Lift, Gondola Skyride, Ocean Skyride, or Skyway, Ore Bucket, Satellite, Skyfari again, Skyride, 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 the Skyways, the Skyway with a little line in it, the Southern Cross, the Space Ride, the Swiss Skyride, and the Union 76 Skyride. And if you are paying attention to the dates, because you may have been bored watching the names, you know, Skyride, 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 then you would have seen rides built before the original Disney Skyway. This would be because this was a system of attractions that could be bought and used by other companies. And of course, those other companies got to it first. However, after Walt Disney rode them when in Switzerland, Walt got them put in Disneyland, becoming the first time this type of system was used in the USA. Now let's get started on the Disneyland ride. Less than a year after Disneyland opened, the Skyway opened on June 23rd, 1956. The Skyway would travel between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland. In fact, the attraction wasn't even called Skyway. It was called Skyway to Fantasyland, or to Tomorrowland. It was because it had 2 different tracks. One that goes to Fantasyland, one that goes to Tomorrowland. And just calling it Skyway would have been confusing, since they would have been in Fantasyland and Tomorrowland. However, the ride would travel very slowly. In fact, it was the slowest model, going on 4 miles an hour, and having 44 vehicles dispatched every 10 seconds was the ride's maximum capacity. The ride was both calming and thrilling, based on perspective. Some liked the calming nature and how slow it was. Others feared the heights and the fact that the ride vehicles sway back and forth sometimes. Because of that, the ride was made a deep-ticket attraction. In 1959, there was a huge Tomorrowland expansion, which included the now-deceased motorboat cruise and submarine voyage, and the still-alive, monorail, and hugely popular Matterhorn bobsleds. However, the Matterhorn was going to be built in an area the Skyway was going through, so without even closing the attraction, the Matterhorn was built around the Skyway, and the passengers now go into a special area inside the Matterhorn. During the mid-80s, due to New Fantasyland renovation, the ride had only round trips from Tomorrowland. But after the renovation, the ride went back to normal. The vehicles themselves could only hold 2, and were originally rounded, and were, because of that, called Sky Buckets by Imagineers. In the 60s, Imagineer and Disney legend, Bob Gurr, redesigned the gondolas, made them rectangular, removed the pole in the center of the vehicle, and made the gondola carry 4 people instead of 2. The ride was a moderate success. Next, we have the Magic Kingdom Skyway, which was essentially the same as Disneyland. Unlike the original, it opened the same day as the park on October 1st, 1971. And the final difference was that since Magic Kingdom did not have a Matterhorn of their own, they did not have a tunnel to go through. But they did have the Skyway gondolas drop down near the ground and make a 100-degree turn, which would take you to the Tomorrowland station. Besides that, it still went to Fantasyland and Tomorrowland, had the same vehicles, and had the same basic path, just with a turn. Next, on April 15th of 1983, Tokyo Disneyland opened. And guess what? The Skyway opened with it. Now this is basically the Magic Kingdom version, with the straightness of the Disneyland version. Nothing much else to say. In the mid-80s, when creating Disneyland Paris, Disney Imagineers planned the Skyway to be in the park. Some differences include more turns and paths, but mainly that the gondolas would have been replaced with a Hyperion steampunk-style zeppelins, but for unknown reasons, the ride was never made. Now let's take Skyway to Disneyland, California. Because we are here now to end it all. Jerry Hirsch, a writer for the Orange County Register, was the first to report some terrible news about the Skyway. On November 5th, 1994, he said, "After ferrying 150 million passengers between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland over the past 38 years, Disneyland Skyway will make its last trip Wednesday." And on that Wednesday, November 9th, 1994, the Skyway closed down forever. There is no single reason agreed on why it closed, but some of them include that recently in the same year, 30-year-old man Randall Charles reportedly fell from the gondolas into a tree, causing minor injuries, and Randall to sue Disney. But the Skyway was never known for this, and it never happened after, so Disney dismissed it. Also, it was later found that he jumped off the Skyway vehicles. The second reason was that the teenagers on the ride were spitting, throwing wrappers, and pouring drinks on the unsuspecting victims below, while on the Skyway. Of course, Disney didn't like it, but I believe it couldn't close the ride down. Same with the next reason, that the cars were not ADA compliant for handicapped people, mainly people in wheelchairs. However, they could have just changed the gondola, then add a ramp to the station. Not that hard. You had changed before, why not again? The next two are the most logical. First is that there was structural damage, especially in the Matterhorn segment, which would have been costly to repair for Disney at the time. Lastly, the Skyway needed a large number of cast members to operate it, and there was a low guest output an hour. And at the time, Disney was trying to cut expenditures while keeping the same number of visitors. So they needed to put the Skyway cast members somewhere else that was a little more important. Indiana Jones! Sorry, coughing problem. Later, the Tomorrowland station was demolished, but the Fantasyland station in Disneyland still stands. Mostly abandoned, with only a few cable boxes that say snow and probably power the fake snow. Then, on November 3rd, 1998, presumably for the same previous reasons, the Tokyo Disneyland Skyway closed. The Fantasyland station was then remodeled into Pooh's Honey Hunt, and the Tomorrowland station was turned into a candy store. Then, on November 10th, 1999, the final Skyway in the Magic Kingdom closed down. Again, for the same reasons as previously stated. Then, in 2009, the Tomorrowland station was demolished. More recently, the Fantasyland station was too destroyed and replaced with Tangled-themed restrooms.
So that's the end. Skyway legacy. From Disneyland to Disney World to Disneyland Tokyo to Disneyland Paris to Switzerland. Though it started in Switzerland. Yeah. And yes, Skyway was a popular attraction. So many fond memories by many of you, as I see by the internet. The interweb. The Webernet. The Explorer. And Safari. And Firefox. But don't worry. The most depressing will come the end of the summer.